And we are back. We're going to look at the Senator Howley questioning Attorney General Pam Boni. Welcome to the Nate Roman Wood podcast. Let's continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, good to see you. Welcome. I've been listening closely in this hearing, and I've heard over and over from my Democrat colleagues concerns about targeting political enemies, and they've accused you of all manner of things and the current president. I've also heard them said, and I just wrote it down because I wanted to be sure I heard it correctly. I've heard them say that Joe Biden never targeted his political enemies. Joe Biden never directed his attorney general to target his political opponents. That's interesting, because I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone. Let's look at it. We've got a list. Tapped my phone, tapped Lindsey Graham's phone, tapped Marsha Blackburn's phone, tapped 5 other phones of United States senators. Gee, it sure looks like targeting political opponents to me, and yet I haven't heard a word from that side of the dais about any concern whatsoever. We've got nothing but concerns today, but no concern at all for a Justice Department that is tapping the phones of sitting United States senators because who knows why. They don't like them. They're members of the opposition party. They're Republicans. They're conservatives. You've seen this document, Attorney General Bondi. Well, what was going on here? Who ordered this? Who ordered the tapping of the phones of United States senators?
Senator Hawley, I cannot discuss the details of that right now for very good reason.
You're going to do a thorough investigation into this, I trust. Is that correct?
We will be looking at all aspects of this, and I have talked to Director Patel at length about
And
this.
you're going to figure out who was involved in this, who signed off on it, who knew about it. You're going to get to the bottom of all of it. Is it correct?
Yes, and I've spoken to Director Patel about it, and he is committed to doing this.
Well, I can tell you, we already know many of the details. We already know that this was ordered by the special prosecutor, Jack Smith, who reported directly to the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland. And we know that Jack Smith was on his witch hunt because he was directed to do so by the President of the United States, Joe Biden. Let's just remember. Let's take a walk down memory lane. April 2nd, 2022, the New York Times. Garland faces growing pressure. The Times says as recently as late last year, that would have been 2021, Mr. Biden confided to his inner circle he believed former President Trump was a threat to democracy and should be prosecuted. It goes on to say that Biden was frustrated with Garland and wanted him to take decisive action against Trump. Here's what we're talking about. Trump, of course, was a private citizen at the time. So he appoints his own hitman, Jack Smith, who goes after the president, former president, who goes after members of this body. You know, the thing about it, though, that really strikes me is that it didn't stop with members of the United States Senate. Did it, Attorney General Bondi? It didn't stop here at all. I mean, just as egregious, maybe more so than tapping the phones of U.S. senators, is this memo that I know you've seen before. Let's just look at it again. This is an FBI memo from the same time period, I might add, from the same time period in which the Federal Bureau of Investigation attempts to recruit informants into Catholic parishes in this country. So here you have an administration that is activating the FBI against its political opponents and tapping the phones of United States senators. Can I just say that again for my colleagues, for the benefit of my colleagues on the other side of the dais? Tapping the phones of United States senators. This isn't hypothetical. This isn't maybe what will you do in the future. This isn't, oh, gee, can you imagine a situation? This happened. This happened. And this happened. The targeting of Catholics in this country because Joe Biden and his FBI didn't like Catholics who went to a certain kind of mass. I mean, good God in heaven. What is happening to this country? What happened under Joe Biden? Or then how about this? The infamous school board memo, where Merrick Garland, at the direction of the White House, issued a memo activating the FBI's counterterrorism division against parents who attended school board meetings and had the temerity to ask what their kids were being taught. And some of those parents were treated like this. Let's just remember. Let's remember how parents were treated. Treated like this man. A parent at a school board meeting, I think in Virginia, who was drug out of the school board meeting. He's bloodied there. You can see it. And what was the response of Joe Biden's DOJ and FBI. It was to issue a memorandum saying that people like this ought to be investigated by the counterterrorism unit. And unbelievably, they were. They were. Or how about this? Let's remember Mark Houck and the pro-lifers who were prosecuted for what? For going to a clinic, an abortion clinic, and praying on a sidewalk outside the abortion clinic. This is Mark Houck and his beautiful family at Mass. This man, at the direction of Joe Biden's FBI, this man had an FBI SWAT team come to his door in the early morning hours with his beautiful children there, terrorizing them with weapons drawn. He was then arrested and prosecuted. And fortunately, a jury acquitted him. This is what was happening under Joe Biden. United States senators spied upon. Former presidents, the political opponents of the president at the time, targeted, prosecuted. Pro-lifers, targeted, prosecuted. Catholics, targeted, prosecuted. 92 conservative organizations put under surveillance, targeted for potential prosecution. Gee, I don't know. Would you call that an example of weaponization, Attorney General Boni? Do you think that's a fair characterization?
Senator Hawley, that is the ultimate weaponization. And weaponization under Donald Trump has ended. It has ended. Harmeet Dillon is running our civil rights unit, and she is doing an incredible job. No longer will parents be targeted. No longer will parents who care about whether their elementary school children have to read a transgender book be targeted and told they cannot have.
Oh, oh, heavens, loved it. I'm just crying because it gets so emotional. It just gets so emotional, right? You're so deep into this, right? What on earth? Okay? Let me clear this board a little second, Liz. Wait a second. Hold on 1 second. You call the Republicans fascists. You call the Democrats perfect. You call the Republicans divisive. All of this stuff. But we have a president who prosecutes people for standing up for freedom of speech? Whoa. Stop. Let me repeat this again. Joe Biden prosecuted people because they stood up for freedom of speech? Somebody went to an abortion clinic and was arrested but then acquitted by a jury? Wait a second. What is going on? And you Democrats preach freedom of this, freedom of that, but it seems like it's only freedom when it fits your narrative. You don't care about the Republican side. That's the problem that I have. And most of you are probably going to comment like, oh, no, that's not true. I don't care if it's true. I mean, that's not what I'm going to say. It is true. It happened to think. I don't care if you don't want to believe it or not. But you can sit there and think it's okay what happened to those people. But wait. It's freedom of speech only when it fits your narrative. It's only freedom of prosecution when it only fits your narrative. Oh, we'll prosecute the other enemies, all that sort of stuff. We'll prosecute those people. Why? When was Bush prosecuted? When was H.W. Bush prosecuted? When was Reagan ever prosecuted? Why? Why go after one person? Because you hate the man. That is why. You hate the man. You hate him so much that you will do anything to take him out. Let's continue watching the video.
have any say in their child's education. That has ended under this administration. People can worship freely, whether they're Catholics at synagogues or Muslims. Everyone can worship freely. That was the ultimate weaponization. They were targeting Catholics, no longer. They have been targeting so many American citizens throughout this country. And Senator Hawley, you have been a champion of this, and thank you for being a champion of that. But under Donald Trump's watch, it has ended.
You know, I think about some of the abuses of power in this country's history, and there's been sadly a lot of them by members of the executive branch over the years, whether it's Watergate, whether it's what J. Edgar Hoover did in his time at the FBI, spying on many public figures, RFK, MLK, JFK, you name it. And I just have to say, what we now know happened in the last 4 years under this administration surpasses all of that. It surpasses all of it, not just for the interference in the legislative branch, not just for the blatant disregard for the separation of powers, not just for the blatant disregard for the First Amendment, but for the targeting of ordinary American citizens who can't afford lawyers, who can't afford to mount a defense, who when the FBI knocks at their door or comes with the SWAT team, they don't know what to do. It is absolutely a disgrace. It is a stain on the history of this country and on the conscience of this country, what this administration did in the last 4 years. So here's what I think needs to happen. Madam Attorney General, I think we need a special prosecutor to be appointed whose sole responsibility will be to get to the bottom of what has happened in every instance that I have just named. I think we need to know exactly who approved the wiretaps on United States senators, who knew about it, what agents were involved at DOJ or the FBI. I think we need to know exactly who signed off on the Catholic memo, the spying memo, who was involved with it, how far did it go. I think we need to know exactly who authorized the prosecution of Mark Houck, who terrorized pro-lifers and tried to intimidate them. I think we need to know that, Mr. Chairman, this committee needs to do oversight hearings. We need to have thorough hearings into what has happened these last 4 years and this abuse that has now just been uncovered, because we have to ensure that it stops. As you just said, Attorney General Bondi, we have to ensure that it stops. This chapter in American history needs to come to a close, never to be opened again. The use of the most powerful law enforcement bodies in the world against ordinary citizens and political opponents must end once and for all. And we have a chance to do it, and it needs to be done with a thorough investigation, full transparency. And those who violated laws need to be prosecuted. I thank you for what you're doing, Attorney General Bondi. I hope that you will launch a thorough investigation. I hope you'll appoint a special prosecutor. Mr. Chairman, I hope we'll hold hearings. And with that, I yield.
Yeah. All right. That was amazing. Great speak out. Let's get back into it. If you have just joined me across the aisle, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Like I said, Facebook, I am still working on getting fixed. So right now it says only me. So I need to figure out what is going on with that right now, but it will be pre-recorded when it's just posted out. So welcome to the Nate Roll Midwest podcast. Like I said, I am a disability advocate in the state of Minnesota. I live in the state of Minnesota. I cover widespread of politics and stuff, and I really wanted to share today why I was a disability advocate and what made me start there. So today is a little Q&A, questions and answers that a lot of people, you guys probably are wondering, is why I became a disability advocate. What started my journey? So my journey started in 2024 when I started to see there was no change in the Department of Human Services in the state of Minnesota. There was no help. there was no help in these ICS homes. So I said, you know what? Who are the people that are going to listen to me? So I was in politics, not mostly in the politics that I thought I was going to be. Like, I was a child, I was so freaking afraid of politics. Like, the word politics scared me. The politics was it was just such an emotional thing. And now I can talk about politics and I'm just fine. It's amazing. But why I became a disability advocate for the state of Minnesota is because I was sick and tired of what I was seeing. I was. And I was sick and tired of seeing these disability people suffer. When I mean suffering, their voices not being heard. And I had enough of it. I had enough of the Department of Human Services lying to me. I had enough of them coddling me. I had enough of them treating me like I was not even human in their eyes. And I had enough of it. These people in the Department of Human Services do not care about disability people. One thing they care about is money. Another thing that they care about is funneling that money. And this is what we're seeing with the ICS fraud. Animals. Yeah, I hate the word using animals. You're animals if you want to take advantage of people with disabilities. So in 2024, I saw everything change. I moved into a different apartment, ICS, and I said, I'm marching myself up to the Capitol. I marched myself up to the Capitol that first day, and I gave my first speech. Not the best speech I ever gave, and I explained myself. This is what going. And I explained, this is what how are we going to find a budget? And one of the senators goes, I'm surprised I've never had a young man testify on a budget hearing. And I kept going. I kept going and going and going because I'm a fighter. And after I saw what they did to me in May, that was disgusting. I gave the most powerful speech out there. And I literally had people looking at me and saying, what did this man just do? He gave the most powerful speech, a life story, but he gave it and told them that I said, I don't care if people are in a wheelchair. I don't care if they have to sign with their hands. I don't care. I only care for their voices to be heard. Our voices are not being heard because they don't want us to exist. That is the problem. That is why I became a disability advocate for the state of Minnesota. That is why I saw a lot of these issues, and I will keep going and keep going and keep going because I am sick and tired of the Department of Human Services saying to us that we have every right to choose a provider, and we're trying to reach out and reach out and reach out. I would like to share a video with you guys about the task force that I was in 2024. I want to share that video and explain to why I was so amped up and so ready to fight for the American people and for the people with disabilities. And I will keep fighting people with disabilities because that is what I am. Nathaniel Olson is a disability advocate for the state of Minnesota and the Nate Real Midwest podcast. So I'm going to share this video with you guys. Let me take some time to find it. It's going to take a while, but I promise we'll find it. Like I said, this means a lot. I'm not going to sit here and watch my people suffer, and while they sit there and talk into a committee. Take me a while because it was May of 2024. I might have to go to. Isn't there a way that you can go to older videos? Oldest. No, we're not going all the way to. I remember having Scott Jensen speak. I thought I had this figured out. So we have to go back a year. A year. Can you believe that? We are going back a year. Let's go find this test. Before the Republicans took over in 2025, it was Democratic control. And let me tell you, did these Democrats give two craps of what was happening? No. I mean, I don't think they gave two craps at all. Why is this taking me? Oh, I hate doing this. We really have to go. Was it June? Mm-hmm. June something. We had a floor session and you all, we're gonna have to do something that's gonna have to take us. Do I have this saved? Test on aging. That's what I need. See, I'm so sorry. Your podcaster is debating this. This is when. Here we go. This is. I tell you that. Well, you know, I'm gonna cry because. Mm. All right, let's watch this together. This is literally when Mr. Olson cries, and this is means a lot. Okay. Mm. You can see a lot of emotion in that video. My testifying has grown because of that. And I'm not done. I will never be done. The reason why is I'm not going to be done and watching people suffer anymore. Disability people are suffering. And the people in the Department of Human Services, let me make a stern warning. You didn't silence my voice. You woken up a fighter. Thank you for joining the Nate Real Midwest podcast. God bless America. God bless Donald J. Trump. God bless our senators, our House of Representatives. God bless everybody in the United States. And thank you guys for watching this podcast. I love you all. Nate Dogg, as people mostly call me, or on other social media platforms, but the Nate Real Midwest podcast is signing off today. God bless you guys. Much love.